Hey guys, so 538 has released this new article detailing when states are expected to see results for the 2020 presidential election on election night. Today I want to take a look at this as well as filling in how the electoral map is probably going to change by taking a look at the poll closing time, starting off with the 7 p.m. poll closings. So before we get into that, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link is at the very top of the description below. We're doing many events, giveaways, and contests on here, like this map contest, where you fill in your contest and the most accurate ones will get Discord Nitro, so make sure you enter that if you have not. We have also launched channel memberships on this channel, 99 cents per month, so if you're interested in getting some pretty sweet perks, make sure you click on that blue join button next to the subscribe button. So moving on to today's video, basically, we're going to start off with the 7 p.m. poll closing times. We have Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, as well as South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia. So the two states that are not going to be called at poll closing time, those will be the states of Georgia as well as the state of Virginia. These other four states, they're definitely going to be called. So the state of Indiana, that's going to go to Donald Trump, as well as Kentucky and South Carolina. So Indiana and South Carolina, they might most likely be margins of less than 15%, but they're still going to be called on election night just because these states really have no chance of going to Joe Biden. Vermont, this is basically as blue as you can get. That's going to go to Joe Biden. And then we have the two states that are going to be either too close or too early to call. Virginia probably too early, while Georgia probably too close. So taking a look at when the results are expected to come in for Virginia, they're not going to take too long. Most of them will be counted on election night. I think we're going to see a projection for Joe Biden just because Joe Biden is expected to win the state by over 10%. The state of Georgia, the results here should also be relatively quick. I think that we may get a projection before midnight on the East Coast, but I'm really not too sure about that. On the West Coast where I live, I think we might be able to get a result by midnight from Georgia or a projection. But the state of Georgia, honestly, it's going to be very, very close. I can definitely see it going to Joe Biden and Trump. Definitely could see it going both ways, but we'll see how the voters are split on election night. And then for the 7:30 p.m. poll closing times, we have North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia. The two competitive states here are North Carolina and Ohio. West Virginia is going to be very, very solid for Donald Trump, probably the second most solid state on this electoral map. And then North Carolina and Ohio, we're going to see either too close or too early to call, probably too early in both of these states, especially North Carolina. So Ohio's 18 electoral votes will be very crucial to Donald Trump for him to win. I think he's going to win it, but Biden definitely still has a chance, but I think that Biden's chances of winning here are decreasing. The state of Ohio, most results will be announced quickly, as it says here, and ballots that arrive until November 13th will be counted. So I think that we'll definitely not see all the results, out 100% of them be haven't been counted by election night, definitely. But I think that we may see a projection if Donald Trump wins by a large enough of a margin or is leading by a large enough of a margin for them to make a projection. And then the state of North Carolina, this is also going to be one of the most important states, a seat that Donald Trump must win. So again, initial results will become very fast because of the mail-in voting. They let mail-in voting start pretty early in North Carolina. I think they did do a pretty good job with that, but absentee ballots can arrive as late as November 12th. So we're seeing a lot of absentee ballots. If you're mailing them in at the very end, they still will be counted if they come in after election night, but I would still advise that you vote in person. That is really just the best way to vote, or drop off your ballot in person, or you can do that as well. So whether or not they arrive by the 12th, that is really what's going to be a huge deciding factor. I think if they don't, I think that Joe Biden is definitely going to have a disadvantage in North Carolina, but that's going to be too early or too close to call. And then, of course, I'll give projections to these states when I think that they will, based on the time that we're at. So the 8 p.m. poll closing time, this is the largest poll closing time in terms of electoral votes. We have many it's pretty solid states, actually. So really, we only have two key states. Those are the states of Florida and Pennsylvania. And these two states, they're not just key states. They're probably the two most important states in this election. 29 and 20 electoral votes. Donald Trump must win both Pennsylvania and Florida to win the election. Joe Biden only leads the state of Pennsylvania, but his chances right now are looking very good in the Sunshine State, 29 electoral votes. While all these other states, so Alabama, that is going to go to President Trump. Connecticut is going to go to Joe Biden. These are just the states in the 8 p.m. poll closing time. We also have the states of Delaware and the District of Columbia. That's going to be very solid. Joe Biden's home state, as well as D.C. has never voted for a Republican, so it's going to be solid for Joe Biden. Illinois, also a very solid Democratic state like it was in 2016. First district of Maine, that's going to go for Biden, as well as the at-large vote. The second district is going to be too close to call. And then we have the state of Maryland and Massachusetts. These are going to be solid for the former vice president, as well as the states of Mississippi, Missouri, and New Hampshire. New Hampshire, that's going to be solid for Biden, while the states of Missouri and Mississippi, these are going to be Trump states once again. And we have New Jersey, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania. New Jersey is going to be a Biden state. Oklahoma, Trump. Pennsylvania is going to, of course, be too close to call. And then finally, Rhode Island and Tennessee. Tennessee going to Trump, while Rhode Island will go to Joe Biden. So with the 8 p.m. poll closing times, or the states in which the polls close at 8 p.m. we have basically almost all of the East Coast except for New York filled in, and Joe Biden is leading with 82 electoral votes to Donald Trump with 76. And we have 112 electoral votes worth of states where it is currently too early to call. Virginia is not called for Joe Biden yet. I think it'll definitely be called for him. I think we'll see similar margins between Virginia and New Hampshire, but the reason why Virginia hasn't been called yet is because it's really those northern counties who typically call in pretty late, like they did in 2016. So Trump would be leading for most of the night, but in the end, Joe Biden will win by a pretty large margin once those northern counties come in. So the 8:30 p.m. poll closing time, we have one state, the state of Arkansas, 6 electoral votes going to go to Donald Trump, no doubt about that. And then for the 9 p.m. poll closing time, we only have 4 more poll closing times left. We're halfway through this, so for 9 p.m., we have quite a few important states. We have Arizona, Colorado, which was pretty close in 2016, Kansas, which will be a lot closer than it was in 2016, but still, I think it's going to go to Trump. Michigan, also pretty important, very, very important. Minnesota as well. So these 2 states will be a deciding factor on basically just who's probably going to win this election. So if we take a look at these states in Michigan and Minnesota on this article right here, I also want to take a look at Florida, which I forgot earlier, but Michigan will take a while, but I think that we will have a lot of votes counted by election, but definitely it could take until November 6th, but I think we'll have those preliminary results that we could base it off of. But definitely Michigan will probably take a little bit for all the votes to be counted, as well as the state of Minnesota, which is another pretty important state that I want to take a look at. The state of Minnesota right now, it was very close in 2016. Clinton won by just 1.5%. But this state, let's see what 538 says here. So most of the results should come in, but not all of them, of course, with 2 weeks in advance of absentee ballots processing. So I think that Joe Biden will be the projected winner on election night by poll closing time, though, because I think that Joe Biden will definitely do very, very well in the state of Minnesota. So Arizona as well, it's another key state. It's going to be too early or too close to call, one of the two. Colorado, I think it will be called for Joe Biden for the first time. Kansas will also be called for Trump at poll closing time, as well as Louisiana. That's finishing up the South. Michigan will not be called, almost definitely. Minnesota could also not be called, but I think it's going to be called at poll closing time. New Mexico definitely called for Joe Biden. The state of Nebraska will be pretty solid for Trump all across the board, except for the 2nd district, which will be called a little bit later as well. And then I think that the state of New York, definitely solid for Joe Biden. We also have North and South Dakota. Those are going to be solid Trump states. And then we have the state of Texas, which is going to be close. So 9 p.m. we also have the very crucial state of Texas, 38 electoral votes here. Let's take a look at the state of Texas when those results are expected to come in. Texas has shattered breakout records or turnout records, and it's going to do that. So most results will be known on election day, but there will also be some results that will come in later. But I think that on November 3rd, we'll have a pretty clear picture of where the state of the races are in the state of Texas, a state that is moving more and more to the left and definitely has a chance of flipping towards Joe Biden. Donald Trump's numbers are just not there right now, and Kamala Harris, as of right now, she is in the state of Texas campaigning for Joe Biden. Do I think this is a waste of time? I think a little bit. I think she should be focusing more on the states that the Democrats need to win and can win instead of Texas, a state that I think is still a little bit out of reach for the Biden campaign. So the state of Texas, that is definitely going to be too close or too early to call. Wisconsin, Wyoming, Wisconsin, another very important state. Trump does not have to win this state, but Joe Biden does. And I think that the state will probably go to Joe Biden in the end, but it's not going to be called at election or a poll closing time just because of how close it was in 2016. Wyoming, that is going to go to Donald Trump. So I do want to take a look at the state of Wyoming or not Wyoming, but Wisconsin right here. So it may take all night. We may have results by Wednesday morning, but we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be pretty close, and the governor has predicted that we'll know maybe on the night of the election or the day after. Wisconsin doesn't have as many people as the states of Michigan or Pennsylvania, which explains why, but still, it's not going to be called at poll closing time. So those are our 9 p.m. poll closing time states. I also want to take a look at Florida and when the results in Florida are expected to come out, because Florida is going to be a very, very crucial state. And this time, 530 says that Florida might be, different from before, where it can actually show clarity as to when the how close or how tight the race is. Florida should be very fast just because Florida has a lot of experience with this high mail-in ballot turnout, and most of the time, as on 2016, projections are made in Florida pretty early, not a state that Biden needs. I think that if Trump wins this state, it will not be a good sign for the Biden campaign, but still, even if Trump wins it, Joe Biden still has a very viable pathway to victory, as Joe Biden does not need Florida in any way. So if the race is close, I think that Florida will also be pretty close. I think that the larger margin that Trump has, the closer the race will be, unless Trump just has a huge margin, which he is not. So if Biden wins Florida, it is absolutely over for Donald Trump. Once Florida is called for Joe Biden, if it is, which I think it is right now, Donald Trump's chances for the presidency are basically over. So at this point in time, I think Virginia will be called at this point in time at 9 p.m., as well as the 2nd District of Maine, which I do think will go to Joe Biden. So that will put Biden up at 149 electoral votes. These other states, it could take a really long time because of all of that mail-in voting. So we'll see how the results come in these other states. Texas normally would come in already, but I'm really not too sure about Texas right now. It could really be really, really close in the Lone Star State, but I do have a feeling that it's still probably going to go to Donald Trump. These other yellow states, I think, will take a while just because of how close they were and how the results are probably going to go up and down for both Biden and Trump on election night. As more mail-in ballots or in-person votes come in, we're going to see a huge partisan divide between the mail-in votes as well as the in-person voting on the 3rd of November. So for the 10 p.m. poll closing time, we have just 4 states. These states of Iowa, Montana, Nevada, and Utah. Only Iowa is close, but it is really not too important. So Montana, that is going to go to Trump definitely, as well as the state of Utah. Nevada going to go to Joe Biden. I don't think we're going to have a long wait in the state. Really not too large of a state. It might have been close in 2016. This time, Joe Biden, the clear favorite. The state of Iowa, that is going to take a while as well. I can see Biden actually winning Iowa. Obama won it in 2012, just 8 years ago. So we'll see how the results come in Iowa. I do want to take a look at when the results should come in. I think it should be pretty early in the state of, not Alaska, the state of Iowa right there. So most results will be counted pretty quickly, but results will trickle in after election day. Of course, votes will be allowed to come in after, but we won't see the final results for about a week. Honestly, we won't see the final results for quite a while, but really, I think that we will see a projection on Iowa on election night, hopefully, but it's really not going to be too important. But I think that if Biden wins the state, Trump is absolutely over. So if Biden at any point on election night is projected to win Arizona, Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, or Texas, I think Trump's chances are absolutely gone. If he wins any of these states, it basically means that these 3 states that Biden needs, as you can see, with just these 3 states, you'll get to 270 if you fill in these other states. if Biden wins these states, Trump's chances to the presidency are basically gone. So for the 11 p.m. poll closing time, we have the big state of California as well as quite a few smaller states. So for the state of California, that is going to be a very, very solid state for Joe Biden, of course. Really no surprise here. Definitely going to be a very, very solid state for the former vice president. Hawaii as well as Oregon and the state of Washington on the west coast here. The state of Idaho will go to Donald Trump for electoral votes. And then for the 1 a.m. poll closing time, that's the final state, Alaska, these results will come in for quite a while. Alaska, I mean, it's just so far away and it's just so large, so we don't really have too specific of a result from Alaska, typically like we did in 2016, where there aren't even counting results for the state of Alaska, I believe. So it might take a while, but Alaska will be called for Donald Trump. There's no way Joe Biden is winning the state of Alaska. So out of these two earlier too close to call states, I can definitely see quite a few of them being called on election night. I think Michigan may be called on election night actually, but we'll see. I think it may be called either on Wednesday or Thursday as possible as well. Election night is on Tuesday, but Wisconsin I think will be called for Joe Biden on election night, which I think will be a pretty telling sign for how this election will go. I believe Ohio will be called for Donald Trump, breaking its streak for the first time in decades. It could still keep it, but right now I'm not too confident in Ohio's ability to vote for Joe Biden. Arizona, I think, will see a Biden victory, not too large of a state. Taking a look at when Arizona is expected to see its results, the most votes should be counted on election night. Other votes will, of course, take a little bit longer, but so, we might see on Thursday or Friday if the race is close, but I think that we'll see a pretty good projection, at least a tentative projection for the state of Arizona by election night. And then, or by election night, I mean pretty early on the 4th of November. So I don't think we'll actually see, any sort of projection that will be meaningful before the 4th of November, basically at midnight on the East Coast. For these remaining states, we'll see Texas, I think, will be called a little bit earlier for Joe Biden. Florida, I think, will call a little bit earlier for Joe Biden, or not Joe Biden. Texas for Trump, but Joe Biden for the state of Florida. North Carolina and Georgia. North Carolina, I think, will go to Biden, as well as Michigan and Pennsylvania, just 1 or 2 days after the election, while Trump will carry Iowa. Georgia, I'm really on the fence about right now. 2nd District, I forgot to mention that, but it's going to go to Joe Biden. And then the state of Georgia, 16 electoral votes. I'm going to give it to Joe Biden for right now. That would put him up at over 350 electoral votes. So I hope that was informative, basically just showing you guys when the election results will come in most states. And of course, we'll be streaming election night. We'll be playing Minecraft, I'm pretty sure. So we'll be playing on a server, I guess, and we can speedrun and all that kind of stuff. And then we can play, other stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then probably won't be the most interesting for you guys, but definitely we will go over the election night results and stuff once they come in. But it's basically around 8 hours of just waiting, so there's really a lot of downtime for us to do other stuff. We can have a Q&A or whatever you guys want in the stream. It will be on YouTube, so make sure you guys check out the stream on the 3rd of November. So that will be it for this video. Thank you guys also so much for watching. Make sure you join my Discord server if you have not, as well as consider becoming a channel member. So that will be it. Like, comment, and subscribe. We're so close to 20,000 subscribers. Thank you guys also so much, and really thank you for all of your support over the last couple of months. We only have 3 more days until the 2020 election. So like, comment, subscribe. I think I said that already, but I will see all of you guys in the next video.